if Manhattan College has had any of that growth from the break. They're going to be on the orange side. Hofstra going to be in the blue, matching their logo. And so far, Hofstra already going to open things up with that first goal 9 seconds in.
Just taking a little bit too much time here as Jason tried to hit this one across, but unfortunately not enough power, and they're just going to tee it up for Happy Camper, and Rocking 7 will try their best, but just not quite enough there. So early lead coming in here from Hofstra and really showing that they're not going to need a lot of space to be able to capitalize.
Yeah, and you saw there that Manhattan College, they had an opportunity to block that shot to get the save, but unfortunately for them, as we saw in the last series, a lot of these shots are actually getting kind of blocked in as opposed to blocked out of the goal. A demo coming out early for Hofstra, so they want to keep that aggressiveness going on, but aren't able to find a second goal out of it just yet, but that ball still staying in the orange side of the field.
Now a lot of bounces around back both on the sidewall and the backboard here for Manhattan College, and right now Hofstra just trying to play rope it up a little bit, just throwing the ball left and right, and Manhattan College struggling a little bit, but they're gonna get help out with a little bit of a clear as Magical have to take that one all the way back, and up and around they go. But Manhattan College more than content just wait for this one as Jason will cut it out. Beast not able to get this one, but Ark's not able to get that pass either, so Happy Camper will just continue it to the ceiling, taps it down. Magic has pre-jumped it. They don't get it. Arc does, and that's going to be a second.
Yeah, just, again, we're seeing some of the dribbling skills of these players, just keeping it up in the sky. Knocks it right down. Arc able to get it. It's unfortunate. There were two players there from Manhattan College. Both of them had a shot at trying to get the save. Neither of them able to connect. And I always say this, and I feel like I'm repeating myself too much, but you just can't play in the goal. You just can't sit idly by because you don't have any speed. So even if you are at the right angle, you can't actually follow up because you're not going to have enough power to get it out. And there you see it perfectly in action. And again, Hofstra, they're on the doorstep to scoring.
And sometimes you just get in your head a little bit. You don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to go too eagerly, but sometimes you just got to go and find the way along the way. But unfortunately, that's not going to be the way right here, as Magic from half field will put in a third.
Yeah, they tried to go for the clear, but it looks like all three players from Manhattan College kind of got scuttled up. Maybe tackled into each other a little bit too much, and none of them were there to actually clear it out fully. So some of this communication there is going to cost them their third goal in on their side. They need to get this ball out and about, but they're not going to be able to do it. That is 4 for Hofstra.
Yeah, just rough kickoff in Rocket League 1. Back in the day when the meta was developing across all the game modes, ones was really the most infamous game mode for realizing the brutality of losing a one opportunity off of a kickoff, just not getting the touch you need. But slowly and slowly as the kickoffs have gotten better, you're starting to see how that affects 3v3. Right there, immediately Hofstra has gone onto the front foot as that ball goes into the corner, and now they have yet another attack, and it's all just based off of the kickoff. What you'd assume would be the only kind of even straight up 50-50 opportunity for both teams. But Manhattan College, they're able to get it out temporarily, but the contacts that they're getting just aren't quite solid enough. They need that little bit of extra oomph on some of these.
Yeah, the demo coming out there from Happy Camper. So although they are down a person right now, we're finally seeing Manhattan College get the ball to the other side of the field. They're chasing it pretty diligently, which previously we've seen them back off. Unfortunately, that chase does not come to much of anything, and the ball once again going to be on their side of the field. I'd love for them to play a bit more spread out. You see them being grouped up a lot, and I think that leaves a lot of avenues open, a lot of angles open for Hofstra to kind of move the ball around. You see they're playing a lot more wide angles, and because of that, the passes are connecting a lot more. So let's bunch up a little bit less for Manhattan College, and maybe they'll be able to get something more done.
Certainly so, and right now it seems like Hofstra's just trying to go for more, but they're actually taking it away as a double tap will actually just be rolled into the middle, and Jason will lob that one down. Rocking 7 with a decent 50. Who can follow it? 2 players going from Hofstra, but they'll hit it into an open space, so won't be all but a giveaway here. But again, just taking their time a little bit too much. I think the Manhattan is kind of stuck in between not wanting to throw the ball away, but they're not necessarily getting the ball into a productive situation. So really going to have to focus. If they're struggling to consistently get the ball down, they're going to at least have to focus on playing a bit more predictive it seems like Hofstra really setting the pace for this match.
Yeah, but there is a little bit of an opening, unfortunately, right now for Manhattan College. There was no follow-up after that initial shot, so that save will come out. And I'd love for them to keep doing that. Just keep going for those long balls. Keep trying to clear it out. Try to get someone down the field that can actually get a follow-up pass onto it. Keep that ball going towards the blue side. So far, at least it's being played a little bit more in middle right now, which is better than what they've seen up to this point, where it's almost always been on their side of the field. There's going to be a ball in the air that they're going to contest, but there's just no speed to actually get it going anywhere. So after the initial hit, you're going to see Hofstra take it back, and they're going to be so close to soaring again and making this 5-0.
But they'll still have to wait for that 5-0 unless this one can pay some dividends. Happy Camper comes through, but another save generated. Magic, they're getting hit him with a fake and inevitably hit that one off the bar and in. So 5 coming across the board for Hofstra, and Manhattan College try as they might, but this is what happens when you come in with a little less speed. Kind of repeat of what we saw game 1 in last series.
Some similarities to what I've seen already from Hofstra on their goals at Manhattan College. They've got 2 players going after the same save. Neither of them hit it. One of them goes way too far forward, is in no position to go for any sort of rebound after it. So then Hofstra, they just slow things down. They play a little bit more tempo, and then they're able to get the deflection, get another goal, and 4 seconds left. It looks like they are going to get a shutout in this first match of the series. There it is. 5-0 for Hofstra. Manhattan College, they need to create more opportunities going forward if they want to get on the board.
I think this is one of those classic examples, and I think we noticed that right as I passed off to you on one of the calls, Manhattan College actually came through and just ripped a shot, their only shot of the game, on target, and Hofstra was able to get back, but they were a little bit caught off guard by that. And I think that's actually the way that Manhattan can get back into this, is that if you play a little bit fast and Hofstra lets their guard down, you really have to capitalize on that. Because at times I felt like Hofstra was getting a little bit casual. I think they kind of sensed that maybe they didn't have to grind as much. They didn't have to sweat as much. They were starting to get really creative. They were getting double commits coming out. And I think that Manhattan College could definitely capitalize on that. But as we said earlier, I think you just have to be a lot more aggressive. You just got to trust that you can get those reads, got to go all in on some of these challenges. And as long as you're organized, you're getting solid contacts, it can work. You don't need to blow this team out. You just need one more goal than them. And it's certainly not impossible for any particular team. So curious to see if Manhattan College can adjust here and how tactically they're going to deal with the team that I think down the stretch really ran away with it.
And the other question is, like, even if they can rip off those shots, will they be able to actually have someone create opportunities off of it? Already you're seeing the demo come out from Hofstra, but if there had been someone there to try to back up that shot, maybe they'd be able to get a deflection. Maybe they just go for the pass instead. Maybe they just try to rip it off the side, so that way there is someone there in the wings waiting. So far, we haven't really seen that team play on offense or really on defense for Manhattan College. It seems like they're all thinking the same thing, but none of them are communicating that they're all going to try to do the same thing. And if you can communicate who's actually going for those saves, who's actually going to be going for those follow-ups, then things become a lot more clear. You won't be running into each other as much and get the game going. Now it looks like they do have an opportunity early on attack.
Happy Camper will just lay it down to Magic, who will send one near goal, but not quite on goal. Arc on the follow-up is going to actually take it away from Happy Camper, and that's kind of what I'm talking about, is Hofstra's content to just kind of play in at their own tempo. They're not working together, at least completely, but it doesn't really matter if they're still getting all this time. Arc almost dunks one through 2 different players, and now Happy Camper's going to try number 3 here. They'll also get denied, and finally Rockin' 7 will get a decent hit out into the midfield. But yeah, these high balls, Hofstra's getting to him quickly, but this game actually, they're seeing mixed success as we're still tied up here. So I'm curious to see what Manhattan College can do here now that they're in midfield, but unfortunately, again, just a little too fast for Magic.
Yeah, and Hofstra, they might be playing a little bit more tempo, a little bit less aggressively than they were previously, but that makes me worry that maybe they're putting their foot off the gas pedal a little bit too much. The fact that there hasn't been a score yet in almost 2 minutes is pretty surprising, and Manhattan College, again, they're still doing the same mistakes where they've got too many people committing to something, and just as I say, there hasn't been a score, I cast or curse it into existence. It's the same thing almost every time, where there's just too many people going for that one block, and you're not thinking about what could possibly come next. You're not setting yourself up into a position where you can block the rebound, and they're just opening that goal up completely for an easy tap in for Hofstra, who are now up 1-0. Still 1-0, so as you said before, all you need is one more goal. So if Manhattan College can get one in and then find a second one later on, this is still a winnable matchup.
Yeah, and it's really, you mentioned that Hofstra's getting a little too aggressive, and really that Hofstra goal that they just got was really a matter because Manhattan College had gone all the way up. So I think if Manhattan College can at least just buckle down here and make sure they're rotating back, making sure that they're staying somewhat sturdy on defense, I don't see any reason they can't keep up what they were doing earlier. It's just the problem is that Hofstra's just so quick on every challenge, as we're seeing again for the second right at halftime.
Yep, so you got two defenders near goal. One of them comes out, the other one comes out. There's actually three defenders basically in the same area, and two of them try to contest it. Neither of them get it, but that is a good kind of movement towards progress. The fact that they're actually going after it instead of just all sitting there, that's something that I like to see. It's just really making sure that they do get that clear. So a little bit of a mistiming, a little bit less power than needed, a little bit less speed. If they can speed things up, get harder hits on the ball, they might be able to get those clears instead of having it stay in their zone for what feels like forever and just giving all these opportunities to Hofstra.
Certainly so, and Hofstra understanding don't really need many more goals. They're content with taking it back and being patient on the attack, as taking it onto their backboard and then all the way back up, and more chaos in the near post as this one will just roll out to Magic. Demo providing a smoke screen for the third to slide in.
And that we've seen Hofstra be very proficient with these demos. They are the ones almost always in them. I'm not even sure if we've actually seen one from Manhattan College throughout this series so far, so that's something to keep track of. Maybe I'm wrong. We did see it in the first game, but can't think of it. We've seen a good amount from Hofstra, and that time they were able to follow with the best hit a smoke screen, but also one less person for just a little bit. But they don't even need one less person on the field. The 3v3 still very much in their favor. And again, 2 defenders, 0 saves. It's very unfortunate for Manhattan College. There might have been an assumption from the person that was sitting in goal that there would be the save right there from the person that was outside of it. Unfortunately, neither were there, and neither were able to get it out.
Yeah, and sometimes that does happen. The player gets in front and you think that, oh, I can leave it for my teammate, but I find that if you're not entirely sure, you're better off just double committing and hoping for the best. I'd rather have 2 people committing for a save than one just kind of leaving it. So we'll unfortunately have to deal with the consequences of that touch from Manhattan, but they're able to get this one cleared out at least right before it comes right back down the jugular of the field, as another ball will just drift barely inside and Darrow get that to the sideline. But minute 15 remaining, and looking into game number 3, Manhattan College just doesn't seem to really have an answer so far, but they are able to at least get something down. Is this ball actually dangerous though? Jason not quite getting that, and unfortunately third man coming up will hit his teammate instead, but that's a showing Hofstra taking their foot off the gas and actually do get some opportunities.
Yeah, Manhattan College weren't able to get it done, and I want to say they did actually have a demo there. So there is at least one on the board, but there's going to be the counter demo coming out a bit later. There you see it right there, the smoke screen, the pass, perfection. And Hofstra again going to be turning up the scoreboard a little bit. 5-0. Manhattan College, they had one of their best chances of the series so far. Of course, couldn't execute it completely. And again, I think a part of it is that there isn't really a follow-up after that initial shot. It seems like the players from Manhattan College, they really want to park the bus, and they've had a little success here and there, but it's not going to be enough to win you the series.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an indication of all you really need to do sometimes is I find that some of the most dangerous opportunities come on offense, not because you're necessarily passing the ball incredibly well, but just you're putting it in awkward positions. And that's basically all that Hofstra's doing, as Arc just throws one off, and Hef Camper doesn't need a crazy shot. They just need any contact at all. And fortunately for them, that one goes in. But I think that's really what Manhattan has to do. If they can't get these passes down, if they can't beat them to the ball, if they do get hits, they just need to focus on making it as weird as possible for Hofstra to deal with.
That's a perfect opportunity there for some communication there. Rocking 7 saying, like, hey, I'm going to go for this. And instead, though, they're both kind of looking towards the ball. I couldn't remember who was there on the other side of Manhattan College, but 2 players just not communicating. And that's a little bit less of an example, just both of them going for the ball. But it's kind of the idea where you're tunnel visioning, and you're not really thinking about the possibilities of what happens after. You're just kind of going for that play in the moment, and just a little bit of communication can set up so that you got all your bases covered.
So now, final seconds. Hofstra maybe just trying to stat pad here as they're pushing for one more, but at least eventually that ball has to hit the ground, and Hofstra will keep it up for just enough to give Manhattan a little bit of a teased opportunity, but it will, in fact, jump down. That will be another shutout, and Hofstra will be moving on to get match point.
Yeah, another shutout. Look at these shots. Looks like there's 17 for Hofstra. 7 goals, so only 10 of those chances were not going to be completed. Great opportunity for them. And 0 saves. So 0 shots also recorded by Manhattan, actually, in the end. So you're seeing that attack, the offense for Manhattan College is not really able to surmount to much so far. And there are chances, as you said, there's a chance at the end, more of a tease than a chance, but there's a great chance, I think, in the middle of the game when it was only 2-0, where Manhattan could have run it down the field, but they're so set on playing defense, just trying to prevent as many goals as possible, that they're not setting themselves up for success when they're actually able to shoot the ball. And there, no official shots recorded. Very unfortunate, but they've still got time. There is game 3, but Hofstra has just looked so good. It seems very unlikely, unfortunately, that Manhattan College is going to be pull one back.
Yeah, it's really just a matter of, obviously there's somewhat of a gap in speed here, but I think that's where I'm looking towards those slight openings in how these teams are approaching some of these opportunities. Because I think the best opportunities I've seen coming out from Manhattan have just been pressuring the ball in unexpected ways, or at least taking angles that maybe Hofstra's not anticipating. And at the end of the day, just going for the ball and just kind of throwing yourself at it. I mean, worst comes to worst, you're going to give up a goal. But if we get up a decent amount of goals this series, I think you just really need to put Hofstra in a position where they have to react to you. And it might not happen a lot, but their best opportunities and some of the ones that they actually almost could have scored off of have been exactly that. Just getting on the ball as quickly as possible and making Hofstra kind of sweat.
Missed block there, wasn't able to save that one from going in, and I agree with you completely. It's very similar to what we saw with Sienna and Xavier last year. It's like, if not now, when will you try to go for those riskier plays? Sure, you might give up a goal or two, but when you're losing and you've been losing by a good amount, there's really no reason why not to try something new. They've been trying to play for these big counter plays where they find those openings, but those openings have been so far few in between that even when they do get them, they haven't been able to capitalize. So I say, why not just go for it, fire on all cylinders. And again, also comparing to the last series, we're noticing the team that's playing faster is generally the one that is just creating so much aggression that it's been impossible for the teams that have been playing slower to really do anything about it.
Now, actually, with multiple players coming up here for Hofstra, or rather getting back, an opportunity for Manhattan, but they'll opt to pick up the boost instead. Now in the corner, Arc is just going to slap one all the way across. Beast trying to touch it, but instead Derry will get a nice little 50 there. Rolling down, so in front of the net. They're getting some decent touches, but onto the backboard. Can they react to this one? It's an open net. Magic coming across. They're just going to get a kind of a clunky bouncer, but they all count the same, and that'll be a second.
Yep, again, overcommitment. One of the players goes too far forward before, and 2 players leave the goal. If you count it a little bit better, you realize if we leave one person in, there's a chance for we can deflect a rebound. If you miss this, sets you up in a much better position for that defense. So we've seen that all series long from Manhattan College, where everyone is trying to go for the ball, and it's not paying off. And again, there's a very quick third score coming in from Hofstra immediately after the second one.
Yeah, that's just the backboard plaguing most teams, I think, that are in the situation of Manhattan College. And I think we also saw it with Siena in previous series and countless other times with other teams, is that at a certain level, you really live and die by the backboard. How efficiently can you get that ball away from pretty much the area over top your goal? And I think right now Hofstra is noticing that gap and really just trying to punish that as often as possible. But Manhattan has looked steady at times, and at other times just getting a little bit too panicky. But I think that overall they just need to take certain lessons, and certainly this should not be one of them. Unfortunately, the own goal will go in.
Yeah, just awkward timing, tries to go in for the save instead, ends up bumping it much higher, much farther, and faster than it would have gone otherwise. So you gotta feel for Manhattan College. There's definitely some chances they've had, but oh, that is just not one of them. That is not one of those chances they've had. That is the opposite arc. Gonna be firing it all the way from mid. Just gonna have the steadiest of bounces. Happy Camper was actually there for the follow-up, so that could have been a great set play, but Happy Camper not even needed to head it in. Hofstra, they are just back to where we expected. They have at least scored 5 goals in all 3 of the matches, and now they're just gonna add on to that immediately. Now it's 6.
Some teams would get a lead and then just, you know, kind of get playful, but Hofstra is really just content to just get as many goals as possible, because I don't think they're going to be using goal differential as a statistic, but if they do, then maybe they just want to be shored up on that as much as possible, because they're not even going for their creative plays anymore. They're really just trying to just slap it home every single time.
And I think one of the reasons why they might be trying to get as many goals as possible is because they are 4-4, so they're very much in the middle of the table. Still plenty of time for potential postseason contention later on, but if you keep kind of getting scores, you keep building up your own confidence, you keep building up momentum going into next week's game. So all this adds up. It's unfortunate because, you know, on one hand you might be like, oh, sportsmanship, but I think that when you're playing into competitive collegiate leagues, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do to keep the ball rolling, literally and figuratively. And so far, Hofstra, they have not let up at all, and that's why they are having a great scoreline so far.
Yeah, I know that's certainly something that we've seen a lot of as the 7th will go in from Arc, is teams not afraid to run up the scoreline. I believe there was an old statement of #1 team ranked in the nation for basketball had a scrimmage in high school, and they beat a team essentially by over 100 points. And when basically asking their coach, why did you let your players do that? They're like, I'm not going to apologize for our team being good. And right now, Hofstra is not apologizing for anything right now. They're just throwing in as many goals, and they're actually on their way to, I believe, a perfect sweep right now, unless they give up any goals.
You know, they say all's fair in love and Rocket League. I'm sure that's the exact saying. Don't quote me on it at all. And the more we talk, the more goals are being scored. So now that's 8. I think a good 3 of them have been in the less than a minute now. And that was actually a really nice team play there. A great pass, and then Magic just being there to put it in, a little love tap at the end to make sure that ball does sail in through the goal. And the one thing for Manhattan College is this might be very difficult pill to swallow with how much the score has and continues to be run up. But at the same time, you got to think this opponent, you know, they're not taking you lightly. They're gonna keep going full throttle, and in one way that might be considered even more respectful than letting up. That the fact that they're not gonna let you off easy. They want to see you play at your best.
Yeah, and this is going to be quite the long game if this keeps up, as Hofstra is, as I said, definitely going for the jugular on a lot of these chances. But I think moving on through this game, this is really just a difference of a lot of teams, that you see a team capable of putting these opportunities, but I think it also just accentuates the interesting aspect of Rocket League, is that when you look at a team like Hofstra, you're seeing a team that is really taking control of the game. It seems very clean. Everything seems very effortless, but in a way, it shows that the gaps that a good team can punish, as we see the 10th going for Happy Camper, are really, really small at the high level play. So when a team is struggling to close down opportunities, it can just be a free fire area.
And you gotta wonder, you know, will they be learning anything from this match? Will Hofstra take away stuff about how their own playstyle works, or how other opponents might try to play in the future? Because there is still a long spring split to go. This is a great way to start it, potentially the best way to start it, with a 3-0 sweep, as well as possibly a clean sheet throughout all 3 matchups, depending on how this last minute goes. But, you know, there are going to be teams that are going to play that they're going to be a lot better down the stretch, teams that are going to be much higher in the standing above them. So the question is, can they really take away what they learned from what has been a bit of a stomp into playing teams that will be much closer matchups? That's really going to be the biggest question, because sure, you did great here today. It's a team that has yet to win a matchup throughout the season, but then you might be on the other end of it later on when you're playing a team like Xavier that we've seen earlier on, like University of Texas Arlington, that have already proven that they are at the top of the food chain here.
And I think one thing that actually that I mean, we're talking about strategy and metas and the mentality of these games, but we're leaving out a crucial part that Hofstra has had fantastic chat hype and some really good copy pastas throughout this series. So to be honest, I'm not really sure why we expected anything else. With copy pastas this quality, any team's going to come out a winner, and Hofstra has indeed. After quite the theatrics in game number 3, will be coming out with a clean sweep.
Winning in more than one way. I don't have the stream open, so I'm not seeing what's being said. I'm sure they're talking about how great of casters we are, um, talking about a lot of
I
different
just
things
assume it's that anyway.
in the
Yeah.
last few minutes. That may not be directly related to the game, but that's just because it was so in Hofstra's control that there was not much more that could be said. So this will be a team to look out for as they move to 5-4 on the season. Like I said, I'd really love to see how they do when they compete to other teams that are higher up. We'll see what their matchup is like next week and see how they do then. But I'm not sure there's much more that can be said. It looks like because of how quickly that was, we will have time for an interview. So just gonna wait for our producer to confirm that, and then after that, yeah, confirmed. So we're gonna be taking an interview with one of these Hofstra players that just ever so dominantly swept Manhattan College. Break before that. We'll be back in just a minute.
And welcome back, everybody. We are indeed sitting down for an interview with a member of that dominant Hofstra squad. Magic is here on the mic with us. And Magic, first off, I mean, obviously very clinical finishing throughout that series, but more importantly, going forward, that's just going to propel you guys because you guys didn't take it easy. You really tried to go for maximum efficiency, and it will actually extend it. So, do games like this give you confidence, knowing that now being a mid-table team overall, it's going to kind of propel you guys forward and give you the confidence to take on everyone else as you're looking for that playoff push?
Yeah, it gives us a little bit of confidence. Coming into this game, we were a little more relaxed, felt a little comfortable. Um, but we know that we are going to face tougher teams in this upcoming semester. We actually set a goal at the beginning of the semester. We want to go undefeated, so that's the goal. And getting a win like this, is as crucial as it might be to push us forward in the standings, at least. Mindset wise, nothing has changed. You want to keep going, treat every team the same.
Did you guys scrimmage over the winter break? I know that there was a long break between the fall split and the spring split. Like, were you guys able to develop new strategies? I know you said there was not really a change in mindset, but were there any new plays that you were able to pull out that you were able to come up with and maybe show us today and maybe throughout the rest of spring? Or has it kind of been the same as what you were doing in the fall?
Over break, we had 2 months, and we started practicing towards the end of December into January again. Um, and we certainly started to work more on our rotations and our passing. And I don't think that we quite got to show that today, but I hope that we'll be able to show our improvement in later on games for sure.
Solid.
And rotations being such a solid part of playing at that high level. And as you'd mentioned, you might not have felt like you were applying it so much, but definitely the speed was there from you guys. I think one of the crucial things that I look for when analyzing teams or looking through this stuff is just lack of hesitation. How important are you guys stressing comms in games like that, where you're trying to make sure you're not overlapping? Because I find that at higher speeds, teams sometimes have the issue of playing so fast that they don't feel like they need to call it out or they forget. So how do you guys handle the comms, and do you work at that like as like an individual skill?
Yeah, comms is something that I've definitely been stressing and I want us to work on more. Because it's really important for us to have call outs, especially I am a very call out based player. So that's something that we've definitely been looking towards working on. And as we try and keep up that speed, it just becomes obviously more important that we don't overlap and we all chime in and make sure that we're communicating what we're doing. Um, especially passing, that's super important to know, like when somebody's center, somebody's on your right or left. Knowing where everybody is super super important, and comms is just a big part of that.
All right, I got one last question for you. You in the Hofstra squad today had a lot of fans in the chat, a lot of great hobby pastas. So, is there anything you'd like to say to your fan base after your win?
uh, yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming out. It's much appreciated. We always enjoy the love, and we hope to see you guys back every single week. Roll Pride.
Lovely to see. Thanks for coming on, Magic.
Thank you very much.
And with that, we'll try to throw you guys to a break, and we'll be right back with our last matchup of the night with Butler University and the University of Connecticut. Don't go anywhere. More EGF Rocket League here coming up.